Hello, Fáilte. I got a question in from one of our students at the Irish Pagan School, Ashley, who is doing one of our Irish magic courses. And the question that she asked was, what is the difference between a cure, a charm, and a spell in Irish magic, Irish witchcraft, the Irish folklore tradition? And I can understand where the confusion is coming from. So let's just break it down real quick in this video. So a cure would be generally in the Irish tradition, a cure would be something that is passed down, usually in families, but occasionally, outside of a family from person to person. It is often, but not always, passed from man to woman. So that would be an important part of some of the cure traditions. And generally it would be for something that is like a particular ailment. So a cure for a particular disease that cattle would get, or sometimes a cure for the fallen sickness or epilepsy. Sometimes there'd be a blood cure. Sometimes, something for the eyes. There'd generally be something that would be, it's a particular cure for a particular type. Sometimes it is said that people within a certain family bloodline would all have a cure for a particular thing. And then at other times, then there would be, I know it gets very complicated, right? But at other times, there would be, if two people from the same surname married each other, then either them or their children would have the cure for something. And then there's also then the seventh son of a seventh son or a seventh daughter of a seventh daughter. They would kind of automatically get a cure, and could be kind of called upon to cure pretty much any ailment, but that would usually be under the auspices of a priest or a doctor, or some kind of other healer, a banfassa, or a wise man, a wise woman, fairy doctor, something like that. So that's a cure in the Irish tradition. Now, a charm and a spell, we generally, within our own tradition, we often would not call, within the folk tradition, we would often not call something a spell particularly. So I think that might be where some of the confusion is coming in. I know spells are very popular, obviously, within the witchcraft tradition specifically, but a lot of the Irish magical practitioners or folk practitioners would not have viewed what they were doing as witchcraft. So Irish witchcraft is a kind of a modern term. It's not that witchcraft wasn't being done, it's just it would have been called something else. And not always, though. I mean, I don't think in Ireland there was the same complete aversion to witchcraft. We didn't have as many or as often or as serious witch trials, for example, within Irish history. And so spells would have been used on occasion, but often the word spell and charm would be interchangeable. But within a modern Irish witchcraft practice today, or Irish magical practice, I would differentiate between a spell and a charm, in that a spell would have more maybe of a ritual component to it. So it'd be, and again, even these lines are very, very blurry. So a charm, let's look at a charm. A charm generally, in my understanding, now again, there's blurred lines, people, very fuzzy. There are charms that would have ritual elements to them. Charms would often have a spoken element to them. There'd be a prayer or something, and maybe a written element, where a spell maybe would have more of like an ingredients list, okay, and particular maybe physical movements that would have to be done within it. And this is where I'm getting into the more kind of complicated maybe ritual components to it, and a charm might be a little bit simpler. But again, that's not always the case. So I would say for a modern practitioner, To all intents and purposes, you can use charm and spell interchangeably. There isn't a clear-cut definition of it within the Irish folk tradition or the Irish magical tradition. If you were going more into the traditional side of things, it would probably be more correct to call whatever you were doing a charm. And then, as I said at the start of the video, the cure then is kind of a completely different thing. You know, somebody having the cure, we would just call it they have the cure. Sometimes you'd say they have the cure for XYZ, but those are kind of different things. So I don't know if I have clarified that or confused the shit out of it even more. But if you have any questions or comments, pop them below. And if you're on the Irish Pagan School mailing list, you can send us questions, and we do try and answer them as we do our videos, either on Patreon, the Irish Pagan School Patreon, or here on YouTube. So that is how you would get in touch with us to ask your own questions. No guarantees, but we do keep a list, and we answer them as and when we can. Myself and John O'Sullivan, my co-founder at the Irish Pagan School. And if you're interested in Irish witchcraft, I do have a book, Irish Witchcraft from an Irish Witch, and there are more practical Irish magic classes at the Irish Pagan School, so you can go and have a look for those. I would teach those. So, and there's a couple of other bits and pieces from other teachers as well. So hopefully that is of use to you. And if you're looking for the history of witchcraft in Ireland, we have multiple classes on that as well over at the irishpaganschool.com. So thanks for your time and your attention. Hopefully it clarified it somewhat. Slán go fóill. I will see you in the next video.